Good morning YouTubers, welcome back to the Davy Brown 990 restoration. If you remember the last video we took off the top links off the back of the tractor. Today we're going to clean them down, we're going to dismantle them. We're going to get them ready to be cleaned by process of electrolysis today. I'm going to put 3 components in. The 4th one I'm going to keep out for a little while because I am going to dismantle that and have a look inside the head. I'll give you a quick look at what we're going to be doing. Right, so yesterday we took the link arms off. So today we're going to separate the bottom bits. We're going to take the bottom bits out of here. The bolt's going to come out of the top of here. I thought yesterday that down this hole there was either a pin or an Allen screw which kept this bolt in because it was in there, but it would rotate. So I was thinking it was a spigoted bolt that fit into an undercut in the larger bolt, and that's not the case. This was simply kept in by dirt and corrosion. A little bit of a tap and she comes out like so. That now looks like it was a broken off grease nipple. In fact, because if I get my scriber, go down through the hole, you see it comes in, but yet when you feel in the hole, it goes in a little way and hits a shoulder. See there, it hits the shoulder, and I've got a feeling that this here, the insert, is what's left of a broken grease nipple. Same in this one. So we'll get them cleaned out, we'll have a look at them, and then what we'll do, we'll drill and tap them and we'll put new grease nipples into them. So see if we can set this up on the little vise, give it a wallop, that's it, it's dropped. There we are. Bolt right, you can see the corrosion on that. It's been keeping that in. As I say, I thought there was an undercut in here and the spigoted bolt, but they're not. They definitely are. A snap of grease nipples there. Anyway, so we're going to separate this one here. I'm going to separate this one. I'm going to do a little bit of quick wire brushing here and here and up here, just to get a clean contact so we can get it ready for electrolysis. Then they're going to me little electrolysis box out there. This top bit, we're going to take it all to bits, check in here, and then we'll go and get cleaned up. Right, unscrew the bottoms of these lift arms and see we're going to get them. I'm going to leave the threads covered in grease. I'm not going to clean the grease off them because I don't want the electrolysis to affect the threads. Right, I'm going to take these outside now. I'm just going to wire brush a couple of bits on here so we can get a clean contact with our wire. This wire is just the earth connector out of a 40 amp cooker cable. That's all it is. I'm going to wire these 3 bits together, put them into the basket. I'll get these wire brushed, I'll come back. Right, so I was wire brushing and I got a bit carried away. Cleaned all 3 bits up. I haven't got a wire brush that will get us into here, so I'm still going to put them in the bath and do them with electrolysis. As I say, this bit, I'm going to take that all to bits, have a look inside of it, see what's going on there. They'll get a bit of wire wheel, there's a bit of wear on one of them. get replacements. So we'll get this wired up, we'll get them put into a bath, we'll get our bath prepared. The electrolysis unit, made it myself. This is power brick from a laptop computer. All you do, you've got your two wires, positive and negative, and you wire your components up that you want cleaned, you wire them together. You connect a negative wire to that, to the items. You put a sacrificial anode in the bath on your positive wire. 2 seconds. This is my sacrificial anode. It's an old track rod end that I cut to bits to get out of the steering gear. So you put that into the same bath, you turn the power on. In the water though, you have to have washing soda. You can get away with putting salt in, I believe, but I tend to use washing soda because it helps the conductivity, and as the current flows from your negative to your positive, it carries the rust off with it. So 2 to 3 days, these will go all black. It'll get covered in magnetite, which apparently prevents it rusting again, but it'll take all the rust off in between here, in the holes, and even inside here. You'll get all of that rust out of there where I kind of get in with a wire brush. So I'm going to get this ready. I'm going to pop it in the bath. I'm going to turn the power on. Oh, by the way, when you do this, if you do this, make sure that you do it with your bath in a very well ventilated environment, or outside. I do mine outside, and I leave it outside for the 3 days. The reason why, electrolysis process gives off hydrogen gas, and you don't want that in an enclosed environment because it does make a rather loud noise and it ventilates your room very quickly for you. Normally takes the roof off. Right, I'll get my bath ready and I'll come back to you. Right, that's some wired up. All I'm going to do now is check for continuity. Make sure that every single one part of these has got continuity. No point in putting it in, it's got no continuity. Right, that's them wired up. Next we'll prepare a little bath. We'll put some warm water in to help the soap powder dissolve. We'll pop some soap powder in there, we'll pop the components in, connect these to the negative lead, the blue lead, connect the sacrificial anode to the brown lead, pop it in, switch it on, and let it tick away. You'll see within minutes, you'll see that it's either working or not, because I'll show you, you'll see the bits and pieces begin to fizz as they give off the hydrogen. Right, we'll get this ready. Back soon. Right, so into my water, half a cupful of just ordinary soap powder. I just went to the local supermarket, picked up the cheapest soap powder that I could get a hold of, put it in there. Try and get it to dissolve. There we go. Nice and easy. Now items. Pop them in. Get all the air out of them. I've left a space here. The anode's got to go in this side. What you don't want is the anode touching the components. I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to give my anode a quick wire brush on here, get it cleaned up so I can connect the wire to it. Right, so wire brush to give it a clean up. Just twisted a bit of wire on. That's all I've done. Quick twist into there. That's going to hang over the side of there. Put a kink in that to keep it off the bottom, suspended and away from the rest of the other items. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to move this outside because, as I say, remember, this gives off hydrogen gas when it's working. You will see the bubbles rising from around here, and you will also see the bubbles coming off the 3 items that are in the tub once the subs die off. But you will see it, and you will see the dirt, the rust start to lift and move towards the anode. So we'll get this set up outside. This is just your standard laptop brick. As you can see there, it's got 240 volt input, 50 to 60 hertz frequencies, and it's 19 volts 3.95 amps output. Yep, all I've done, cut the little jack off the end, soldered the 2 wires on, heat shrink them, a couple of clips on that end for connections, and that's it. I do find that when you first start the process off, this gets hot. Not unbearably hot, not dangerously hot, just it gets hot. So I think you want to be leaving it outside somewhere cooled off. As I said, all my process is outside, ventilation reasons anyway. But after a couple of hours, it seems to settle itself down. It's like charging the battery on your laptop. Initially it gets hot and then it cools down to running levels, and then it just ticks away merrily. So that's my electrolysis unit. Right, neutral, connected to the pieces of cleaning, positive connected to the sacrificial anode. If you look here, you see this is just been seconds, this has just been in. You can see should end up with an enormous ring of scum, rust and all sorts hanging on this anode here. We will see. So, about an hour later, look at all the crud that's come off those 3 pieces that's in there, coming towards the sacrificial anode. So we'll leave that overnight stewing, and then what we'll do in the morning, we'll have a look at it, see what they're like. They will be black when they come out because that's the magnetite that forms on the shell, but we'll have a look at it, see what it's like in the morning. Right, in the meantime, while that's cooking, let's see if we can get this apart, and we'll see what's going on in this. I might even get this a wire brush today. This is a 9/16 spanner on here. They're not tight, these. I've got an electric windy hammer that And I don't like using them dismantling old parts like this if I can help it, because if these are seized you'll end up shearing them off, whereas at least with a spanner you can feel what condition they're in. There's my old margarine tube, probably bits in there, and they'll get a bath in some diesel, get cleaned off, and then they'll get a good wire brushing. Right, let's have a look what we've got. There's a dowel inside there, so I'll just get my nylon hammer. There we go. Nice gentle tap. Don't get heavy handed with this, it gets expensive. That looks alright, doesn't it? Full of grease. The bearing stayed in there. Bit of old cloth. Let's have a look. Where are it? Dirty old cloth. Let's get this. Cleaned out of here. Could have done with an old carrier bag, couldn't I? Never worry. See, inside of there looks absolutely beautiful. Doesn't look so bad. Right, let me go and get some kitchen roll, and we'll give this a wipe down, and I'll come back to it. I'm back. Pinched the wife's kitchen roll. I'll be getting along tonight. Two little locator dowels in there, and I would imagine that's going to be, there we go, nice. Let's have a look at this. That's going to be a thrust bearing in there, so obviously has to take the pressure of the implement hanging on it while you're setting your levels. Yep, that is. And that feels lovely, that. Not much wrong with that. Get this a wipe out here. This has probably never been opened in its life. The last person to see the inside of this was in the late 60s when they were building this tractor. There's a bush in there, brass bush or phosphor brush with a grease track in it, so that the grease can get away down. As you see, it's doing its job beautifully. Look where the grease is getting to on that one. Nowhere. Yeah, right. Quick wipe on here. Lovely, that's what you need. Loads of top quality grease. This is in remarkable condition in here. It really is. You get the impression from some parts of this tractor that it's had a very easy life, but then you get impressions from some other parts that it's had a really heavy life. And I would say this one's had a fairly easy life so far. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give this lot a bath in diesel now, get all this grease cleaned off, check all the bits. That looks amazing, that. Check all the bits and pieces, and I'm going to give it a wire brush. See if we can, there's a pin in here somewhere. That's either pushed on or pinned on. I'm sure the parts diagram shows a pin in it. God's a good job you get like getting mucky in it. Okay. Then I'm quite happy with what we've got there. Let's see, we'll get it a bath, we'll give it a bath in diesel. Get it washed up. Get it all re-greased, put back together. Right. So these pieces have had a wire brush. Gave them a brush up yesterday. There's little bits of, excuse me, primer left in here that I kind of get in with, unless I knock that pin out. I kind of get the, I've seen people have to heat these up red hot with the acetylene to get them out, so I'm not going to bother. Where the primer is here will not matter. It'll be clean metal underneath, there'll be no rust because that's well stuck on. It's all had a wire brush, it's all had a bath. I'm not going to bother putting this one through the electrolysis process. All I'm going to do, we'll get this hole drilled out. This is 1/4 UNF, and the either hole's bunged up solid with old impacted grease, or it's got the remnants of a broken grease nipple in it. But we're going to drill that out this morning. We're going to stick a tap through there and get that cleaned up. All our bolts had a wire brush yesterday. These got a wire brushing, bit of a clean up. All sorted out. Quick look at the electrolysis process. I put this in the greenhouse overnight because it was going to rain. But you see there, you see all the rust that's come off. You can smell that as well. I don't know whether it's just the soap powder evaporating. You can see it's the bubble, it's still on and the bubbles are still rising through it, but lots of rust come off it. So we'll just leave that cooking away merrily. So let's get back to this. 1/4 UNF. What we're going to do, consult my trusty book. UNF, 1/4 UNF tapping size, 5.5. Alternative, 5.4. What I'm going to do, because we think this could just be impacted grease in here, I'm going to put a 5mm down there first, and then we'll see what actually comes out the hole. If it's only grease, I'll just chase it down with the taps, clean it all out. So I've got here a little kit of taps and dies. I'm just going to whiz it through with a little ratchet tap wrench, and we'll see how we get on. Okay, let's add the base. See what we're doing. Okay, 5mm drill. Right, that looks like it's just impacted grease in there. So, what we'll do now, get my taper tap. Just chase the thread. You can see all grease dropping out the bottom of that. Okay, now let's try grease nipple in it. What are you in F? Lovely. There we go. Still see the rust in the hole here. I haven't been in here. I'm going to get in here with a wire brush and get that cleaned out. So that's what grease nipple sorted in that one. And the other one comes out of the electrolysis. We'll get that done exactly the same. Get it clean, put it in there. Tell you what, while we're here, we'll have a look at this one. See what's going on in this one. I took the grease nipple out of this, so this shouldn't be so bad. No, that's going straight in. There, well, that's nice. That was because I see I took the grease nipple out of there. It was intact. And judging by the amount of grease that was inside, and the grease was clean inside, I don't think we've got a problem in that one. Okay. So I'm going to clean this hole out now. What I'm going to do, got myself a piece of quarter wooden dowel, cut a slot through it that way. I'm going to stick that on my drill. You could use metal if you've got a bit of metal, a rod. I've got Scotch pad. I'm just going to simply cut a slice off the Scotch pad, feed it into the crack, fill the hole. 2 ticks will be with you. that be nice. Such. If you find that's not enough, get another piece, just wrap it in, because you're better off. Force it in. You can see the rust coming out of here. Was have a look and touch your plus gas. Go back in. Bit of a wipe out. Have a look inside. You see on there the rust that shot up that hole. Can you see inside there? There you go, look. That's better, isn't it? It's not rust free, but it's about 99%. Happy with that. Happy with that. Okay. So got my 2 holes cleaned and threaded. The hole cleaned. Everything else has been wire brushed. So I think we'll start and put this back together now. Right. So we're going to reassemble the leveling box now. Everything's been wire brushed, everything's been as clean as I wanted. The hole's been cleaned out, taps have been done. First thing we do, the bearing. If you look inside the bearing, right over there, you'll see this bearing is split. You can see the balls inside that race. So we want to get some nice clean EP2. I'm going to use my finger to pack that bearing. I've checked this bearing, it rolls beautifully, it's nice and quiet. As you can imagine, I don't think this bearing has actually done an awful lot of work. And it was nice and clean in there. It's not as if it's been raining in or the dirt's been getting past the seal and the bearing has a chance to be gritty or whatever. It's nice and there we go. Now what I want to do now, I'll grab the casing, put a bit of grease in the seat, I'm also going to put a little bit of grease down the tube. Take my bearing. Quite clearly see the casing wraps around that side. That's the bottom. That's the top. The thrust face is the top. That then just sits in there like that. Get my gear. We've had a look at all the gear teeth on here. There isn't anywhere. There's a few scuff marks on here, but there is nowhere as such to take. Let's grab a bit of wire wool. Give it a bit of a quick polish and a wipe. As you see, you can see there's little rub marks, but there is no way, you can't feel any wear on there. So we're going to give this a nice coat of grease on there, bit of grease on the mating face. This is the shoulder that will sit up against the thrust face on that bearing. We're just going to liberal amounts of grease. I'm going to put some grease on the top of the threads because they will stay in the shroud here. The very bottom of the threads I can get at outside when they're poking through the bottom, but I don't want to do that. I will do it eventually before I paint it, because that way the paint won't stick to the threads. Okay, now pop the shaft into it. You can see the bearing there. You see the bearing starting to turn, just the friction of the grease. So pop it down. Everything's nice and free. There we go. So now, what are we going to do now? We need to pack this space with grease. We'll get a knife. I need to shorten my grease tube. First of all, we'll get all the niceness out of there and into here. It's lovely sticky stuff, this. Once this is packed, probably never need greasing again for the rest of its life, because it's not exactly high speed moving parts, is it? Okay, now we're getting a bit more. Certainly not going to do any harm, is it? Put that in there. Right, okay. Just clean my finger a bit here. Two ticks and we'll get this top of this tube cut off. This is all I do, just keep cutting your tube down until you run out of grease. That lid, fit nicely back on there now. Get it all the grease. So back into here, on as much as possible out of here. I hate wasting grease. Let's face it, it's not cheap, is it? Okay, so what we'll do now, get a bit of the red stuff, slap it into here. Just put a sliver around that, but there wasn't any gaskets in here. So what I'm going to do is put a bit of grease. I was going to put some well seal in, and I thought, well, wasn't a gasket in and there wasn't any joint and paste in when we opened it up, so we'll not. Right, I think we've got a bit enough of the red stuff. Okay, time to go back together. Line your lovely little dowels up. There we go. Right. Two different length screws here, long ones and short ones. So I'm assuming this shoulder is higher than this shoulder, so your long ones will go in the back. Short ones go in the front. Short ones in the front, long ones in the back. I never tighten anything till everything's together, because you want this to go down nice and flat, because remember there is no faces in here, no gaskets, and this has got to be pulled down on those two dowels. Let's see this. This needs to be tight, but not mega tight. There we go. Does it work? Yes, it works. Give it a few turns. Make sure all the grease is around the essential areas inside. Everything's coated. Okay. All we'll do now, give it a bit of a wipe up. I'm not going to put grease nipples in at the minute because we're going to get painted. Before it gets painted, we'll block the holes up, then we'll degrease this with acetone, and then it'll get painted. It's going to get primered, red oxide, and then it will get its chocolate. Is going chocolate on the same day, because there's no point in just primering this and leaving it lying about. You want to get painted to finished colour same day. What we'll do is we'll wait until the other bits are out of electrolysis, and then we'll we'll reassemble the forks, make sure everything's working properly, disassemble them once more, paint them as 4 individual pieces, and we'll cure the things like the little dings. There's a little ding on the bottom of here, that'll get straightened out. Let's have a look at this. Good. That's lovely. Alright. So, we'll call that finished at that point. Well, I wasn't going to call it a day at that point. Went outside, checked these and the electrolysis bath. You see in there, look at that. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my pliers, get them untangled. I'm going to give them a wipe, we'll have a look at it, see how good we're getting on here. Things a bit slippy because of the soap powder. That's good. Get one of these off. See in here and then inside there, can you see that? Remember, get a torch, get a torch. See how that's clean in there? There's a bit of rust in that hole. We'll just pull a towel through it. There. That is remarkable. I'll get one of the forks off, one of the yolks. I showed you all the rubbish that was in there before. These were wire brushed on the outside, but I couldn't get into the inside, if you remember. I'll give everything a bit of a nice wipe. Look at that. And a little bit, that rust coming off with a bit of a rub. And this torch is wonderful, I need a new one. Look in there, has gone a little bit darker than the outside, but that I was expecting to be absolutely black or magnetite. It's been black in the past. I did the exhaust manifold with this because it cleans inside and out, and it gets the rust out from inside the manifold, and this tractor had been standing a while. Pardon me. So over the moon with them, over the moon. There we go. less than 24 hours. Excuse me. Got a bit of rust there. But that's anything on the outside can get cleaned. These was the important areas where you couldn't get in with the wire brush. And I didn't want to knock the pins out because I say I have seen people have to get these red hot with acetylene. I haven't got acetylene. There's a little bit of play in them. Nothing excessive for what this tractor is going to do for the rest of its life anyway. Okay. We'll call it a day at that one. So what are we left with after electrolysis? Well, you've got a bucket full of rusty water. There's no nasties in there, just rust. If we look at what sacrificial anode in the corner, look at all the just seen all the stuff off that. What I do with this now, I will let it settle for a couple of days. Let all the heavies drop to the bottom. Anything that's in there, like the rust particles that came off the components, we'll settle down at the bottom and then get the water off the top and just put it down the drain. There's nothing environmentally damaging in there. I find it nice easy way to be cleaning parts, especially difficult parts where you struggle to get into bits and pieces with them. But anyway, that's what I do.